Welcome to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. I'm Dr. Daniel Amen.
And I'm Tana Amen. Here we teach you how to win the fight for your brain to defeat anxiety, depression, memory loss, ADHD, and addictions.
The Brain Warriors Way podcast is brought to you by Amen Clinics, where we've transformed lives for 3 decades using brain SPECT imaging to better target treatment and natural ways to heal the brain. For more information, visit amenclinics.com.
The Brain Warriors Way podcast is also brought to you by BrainMD, where we produce the highest quality nutraceutical products to support the health of your brain and body. For more information, visit brainmdhealth.com. Welcome to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. All right, so we are here today with the Brain Warriors Way podcast with someone very special to us, Rachele Brooke Smith. You are very special because not only do we know your parents, and they're great people, but you've actually made your own name in Hollywood at such a young age. I know you were on center stage. You've actually were in The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. There's like this huge list here. I'm not going to read them all. Cold Moon, lead role, let's see, from the writer of Beetlejuice.
Yep. And that one actually comes out in August in theater, so we're really excited about that. And I play a Southern character, and it was a big every single film that I've done has literally been an experience or a story of how you can manifest, big goals and dreams.
Oh, that's awesome.
Especially center stage. And
well, she's got this huge list of roles she's been in, movies that she's been in. She is a ridiculous dancer. The control you have over your body is seriously ridiculous. Like, I've never seen a person's body move like that. So it's pretty amazing. And you are a beautiful girl, both inside and out. I mean, as pretty as you are on the outside, I just think it's even more amazing how sweet you are, and that at your age, you are actually living with an incredible purpose. So talk to us a little bit about your story, because I don't want to just read your bio and all the cool things you've done.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And, you guys really are some of my biggest heroes, honestly. You guys have had an incredible effect on my family, but also my life, from listening to your podcast and learning about the things that you teach. And I'm just so honored, honestly, to be here. And I just want to help share your message, especially with the younger generation, because they just don't talk about brain body health enough. It all starts here. It's all there, like what you think, how you eat, and I'm just a big believer in what you consume, just like who you're around, your environment is just as important.
So you have this term that you brought up that I thought was really cool.
Yes.
Be disruptive.
Yes.
And you talk about being disruptive and creating miracles in your life. Yep. So what brought that on?
So it really all goes back to, a lot of what I think started my whole purpose and mission in my life was I grew up a really anxious, fearful little girl.
Boy, you'd never know it.
I know. Well, that's the crazy thing, is that I want to share that to people, know that it doesn't matter where you are now. You can get to where you want to be and where you want to go, but so much of it is the personal journey, the personal growth. And so I grew up a very competitive gymnast, like very competitive from a very young age. And they put a lot of pressure on us to be great, obviously. But I put so much of that on myself, and I created my own world of anxiety and fear in my head, so much so that I was sick all the time. I pretty much was.
I understand that. That sounds familiar. I was one of those kids too.
Yeah, I think so. I remember hearing stories of that. And I was almost throwing up once a week, and not because of an eating disorder, but because I was so scared. I had such anxiety. I really got competitive in gymnastics from 8 to 13. And it was also a big part of my mom's life too. Just like as any mom, if your kid's in
you have to be committed
every day for 5 hours. It was every day, 5 hours a day.
You're committed.
You're committed. And so, I knew that I wasn't happy. I knew that I wasn't okay, especially when you're that sick all the time. I missed half the school year, and it was just really hard for me to get the courage to quit, because that was my life. That was my identity. So just like anything else, we know a lot of people are scared of change because that's all they know. So even if you're not happy, you can end up staying in the same place because you're scared of change.
So one thing I want to point out, you actually, you didn't grow up like without a lot. So I want to point this out. Like, I grew up really poor, and people hear that and they expect that in a situation like where I grew up, in really kind of ugly background. But you had pretty amazing parents.
Amazing parents. My dad was in residency though for most of my life.
He's a neurosurgeon.
Which love my parents, heroes of mine. But so for most of my upbringing, like he was in residency and never really got to see him. And we didn't.
They're busy guys.
Yeah, well, we didn't have that much. I mean, I didn't have a bad childhood at all. I had great parents, but it wasn't until my later like teens that it became different after my dad got out of residency.
Okay. So he was gone a lot. I know residents because I'm a nurse, and they live at the hospital. So, so I understand that. Were these things that sort of? Were you the only one in your family who struggled with anxiety? Was this sort of a common theme?
Well, it's interesting because I don't think it's come out till maybe later. I mean, I'm the second oldest in my family, but definitely I think a lot of us more so put so much pressure on ourselves.
Okay.
Like we all talked about at different times how we just feel this pressure, and not because I don't think even my parents put on us, but just to do amazing things in the world. Like I've just always had this feeling inside of me, like I have to do big things, whatever that means. I just want to make an impact. And I think I've transformed that, I've learned how to transform that kind of anxiety or fear into just living it every day.
So that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
How did you go
from that?
From throwing up a lot and feeling anxious and being unhappy, but working really hard to where you are today?
Yeah.
So what were the steps for you that you think other people could learn from?
Absolutely. Well, I do have to say one of the biggest things, after I finally got the courage to say, okay, I'm not happy in this, I have to be done. It was after I actually broke my hand, had surgery, and the thought of going back to that life of gymnastics, and I mean, I couldn't do it. Finally got the courage to my mom. It was very challenging, and it was really hard for her to hear that, and love my mom to death. But it really, being a 13-year-old girl and have your mom say, I can't really be around you for a while. I don't like you very much right now is extremely hard to hear.
Ouch.
But we're best friends now. Like I said, I have the best mom in the world, and I love her so much, and we've grown so much through this path. But after that, I straight cried. I was super sad. My whole identity was gone. My best friend didn't want to be around me very much, and then I saw a movie that, to me, I just had this life-changing experience in that film, and that film was center stage. It was the first center stage, and it was.
So you were the lead role?
No, not in this one. I was 13 still.
Oh.
I saw the first one.
Oh, interesting.
And that was the film that completely changed me, and I had this. It was the first time I'd ever felt this. This overwhelming passion of like, that is what I want to do, because it made me so happy, and I was so inspired by these people, these girls telling this story on stage and their movement and dance. And I'd always loved dance. It was a kind of a part of gymnastics, but not really. And so I had goosebumps, chills. I couldn't leave my seat, and I just felt so overwhelmed by this experience that I remember my family had I stayed after and just closed my eyes and just automatically started visualizing myself doing all of that.
Okay, well, I'm a little tripped out right now because you got the lead role.
I did.
In the next center stage.
The second one. And
so that's very creepy and weird and eerie and cool.
In a cool way.
In a cool kind of way.
Right. It's awesome.
No, it is. Yeah. But I mean, it's sort of trippy.
I think it's, what you teach people about visualization.
It's trippy.
About finding your bliss.
Absolutely. I'm like the biggest believer. We have the most amazing tool between our ears, the power of visualization can completely create experiences in the future, and it's how much you actually believe in that, and I got told along my
I'm blown away.
Along my path, after I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do, I walked out of the theater saying, okay, Mom, Dad, get me into acting classes, get me to dance classes, and I just lived it and breathed it. It was the first time, though, that I ever experienced what it was like to just feel happy and just so, like, I could
so powerful.
Dance. I still do, like, hours and hours and all day long, and I never, whereas maybe some people's passion or mission might be gymnastics, and they might have that same experience, where they just loved it.
You have to find your thing.
Yeah, and I think that's such a powerful thing, is like the power in finding that, and trying new things, getting out of your comfort zone. What I say, disrupting limiting beliefs, disrupting your comfort zone. Because if you never try, you never know. But so many of us stay in this.
So there's so many interesting.
I know, my brain's going
brain things going on. Because I'm actually not a huge fan of gymnastics for girls or boys because of the head trauma that goes with it. And I have a niece that competed at a very high level all the way through college, and she had 3 concussions.
Yeah.
And then she had behavior issues, and I mean, it's not a good. But I don't know that many dancers who have concussions, right? I mean, I'm sure there are, but not many.
Way
but it's
better.
those complex motor movements that you
so good
learned
for
in
you.
gymnastics that made it easier for you to be a
Yes.
dancer, because you're working your cerebellum. That's the back bottom part of the brain that's involved in coordination.
Yeah.
And it just helped your development.
it's so much so.
But then switching it to get something you love, something you're passionate about, something that's not work, something you have to do.
Yeah.
That's what, we wish for all of, our kids and our patients. It's like, can you get connected to what you love?
To something. Yeah. I think that's, well, and that's why I and stuff that I do when I started, Disruptive, it was all about, through that experience and so many other experiences, like along my path, when I was like, okay, I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to go to LA, I'm going to be a movie star, it was never my dream to be, I think the celebrity, the movie star, but it was like, I want to help change people's lives like it changed mine in that moment. And just the power of film. I mean, I start to cry because I every time I go to the theater or I see a movie,
it moves you.
I think it's one of the most powerful ways to change people, to take people through an experience. You can share ideas and stories all day long. As soon as you can experience something with somebody, it's a totally different game changer.
It's interesting. I want to throw something in there as a mom, from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So we have a 13-year-old.
Yep.
She's amazing. Like I just have to say, she's actually amazing. But we went through a situation where I actually was frustrated with her for a while because she wouldn't commit to stuff. Couldn't get her. She wasn't passionate about much of anything.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated. I felt like she was quitting on things, and we were pushing her to sort of go into science and always talking to her about being a doctor, planting that seed. And she had a similar experience. One day she was at a concert and she just got this bug, and she just sat there. And I remember I was with her because she was young.
Yeah.
And so she left there and she was really quiet instead of being really excited, like outwardly.
Right.
And I could tell something had shifted.
Yeah.
And she told me, this is what I want to do. And I was like, what?
Like
what happened to being a doctor, right?
Yes.
And so but when she really, I could see it. I could see there was going to be no talking her out of it.
Yeah.
And she was so passionate and so driven. And when I asked her why, she said, because I want to make a difference. I want to be inspiring, and this is a way I can do it. This is a platform. She goes, I just can't think of another way. And I thought to myself for a minute, I could push her to go the doctor route, and she'd probably not be happy.
Yeah.
Who am I to squash her dreams?
Yeah.
And so since we've been doing that, we've been really supporting her.
Yeah.
This kid is amazing. She just blossomed. And, she's such a good kid. And people say to me, your kid's so good. Right. But we're trying to do our part to sort of foster those dreams.
Thank
and
you for that.
Yes. I think that's so important. And, something I learned too, I got told I was crazy all along the way. And trust me, my dad, I had all these other my plans of how I was going to accomplish this goal and dream, and none of that worked. And thank goodness it didn't, because, I really learned through that how sometimes the things that we were talking about before, the things that you think are the worst things could actually and usually are the very best things.
So for you, what were those things that worked?
So, we'll say, before we get into that, I just do want to say on what you were talking about. Like, my dad was not happy about me moving to LA when I was 18. He's like, what about the college route? What about going to, because I had an amazing GPA. The only reason why I didn't get into my dream college was my test scores weren't, I wanted to get into a ridiculously hard college. And, but I was devastated when I didn't, because I was like capped to the dance line. Overachiever like crazy to get this goal and dream. I didn't get in, was devastated. And then last minute found this audition, or heard this audition in LA for a performing arts scholarship program. Did that for a year. Best thing I ever did. As soon as I got out, I could actually have an agent. I could actually audition again. I got turned down by a bunch of acting agents, and they're like, no, you're not ready. The only thing I knew to do was to dance. And so I would just keep going back, and I would keep dancing. I would keep going to classes. I had that whole year I'd been in LA, I had never seen anything on the wall for like an audition anytime. This is the first time I could actually have the chance to audition again. I saw this sign on the wall that said auditions for the lead girl in Center Stage 2. Almost didn't go, because I had just got turned down so many times by acting agents.
So good point.
Yeah, and I almost didn't go. I felt in my mind, creating all the ants, the automatic negative thoughts that you talk about, which is really, we'll get to that. The big reason why I started Disruptive was to help disrupt those, and have an actionable thing and a reminder on a shirt or apparel that helps you be like, oh wait, no, that's just I'm stronger, I'm more powerful than my thoughts.
So that's similar to what we would call a pattern interrupt.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That is what, Disruptive is in a fun, creative, kind of rebellious way, using pattern interrupts to, help people rethink or reframe situations.
And rebellious against yourself.
Yes.
Against the limiting beliefs
against what
in
I call
yourself.
like the negative. I feel like, I'm an actress, so I feel like I have so many people inside of me. But we all do. We all have these different characters that we could be or can be. It's just like, who are you? What character are you deciding to be today?
Right.
Yeah,
some days I wake up and I feel a little whiny and I'm like, no, we're going to be warrior today.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And having even names for that, I think getting the more creative, and that when you say one of the things that did work, it was when I mixed my creative mind into my personal growth side, into my goal achieving. And so, even with clients that I work on, or like my online programs with Disruptive, it's all about gamifying goals. And, one of my big missions is to make personal growth and brain body health like a fun, cool, sexy thing to do for our younger generation.
And for your generation, it has to be sort of fun and sexy. And sexy doesn't have to necessarily mean sexy in that way, but like that sort of exciting, fresh and fun. And I've seen your clothing line for your workout apparel. It's super cute. I ordered some for Chloe. It's like really cute.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So when we come back, we are going to talk about the practical things you're doing now to keep your brain and your body in top shape, and how you're sharing it with the world.
I would love
Stay with us, everyone. Welcome back. We are here with Rachel. What a joy to have you.
What a joy to be on here.
We're talking really about transformation, about how you transformed yourself from a highly competitive but really unhappy, anxious.
I think anxious. I think that's a big thing. People and I still have to watch it. It's like a daily practice, to like not have that anxiety consume you, especially when you're trying to do a lot of stuff.
It's a daily practice, and when you're trying to do great things, to have discipline, because your mind, if you discipline your body as a dancer.
Yes.
If you don't work out for a while, then your body doesn't feel right, and it doesn't move right.
Yeah.
Your brain is exactly the same way. Yeah. So talk to us about what you do day in and day out to keep your mind and your body healthy, and then how you're beginning to share it with the world.
Yes. So I'm so happy that you brought it up like that as well, because literally that's the analogy that I use for people, because I think it's so accepted. People understand, like, if I want to look better physically, if I want to gain a bicep, I need to do bicep curls. It's like with anything else in life. If you want to have, you need to be doing that thing. It's just like that. I feel like that in confidence as well. If you want to have more confidence, you have to do something every day to build that confidence. If you want to have more
like a muscle.
Yes, it's a muscle. It's just everything. So
what do you do?
So I think one of the biggest things that absolutely changed my life was committing to one of the first things I do when I wake up is to listen to something inspiring, to automatically put my brain in a place of learning and growing, and just like, I kept hearing all the time, the 5 people you surround yourself with are the most important people and who you become like. And I was like, well, people in today's world, the people we're surrounding ourselves aren't just the physical people, it's the people online, especially for younger kids. Like we spend all of our time online. So it really matters who's on your feed, like who are the podcasts you're listening to, who are the people on your channel or the people you're following on Instagram. And I think too, to hopefully help raise the standard for influencers, knowing that like if you're posting stuff on a channel, on your YouTube channel, your Instagram, like you're, especially these young kids who have massive YouTube channels or Instagrams, like you're affecting people.
It's a responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody that has any sort of platform or viewers, like you are affecting, and you have the ability to have a lot of positive change, and hopefully you use it for that. So I think for sure, meditation and visualization was one of the biggest things that absolutely changed my life. I mean, and really practicing what I call disruptive gratitude, where rather than even just seeing and going through meditations or visualizations, practicing getting so clear about I want my maybe future reality to be like, different goals I want to achieve, and then getting to a place of experiencing it in myself so strongly, of knowing what it smells like, who's there with me, like really, really, really getting myself to experience all those things and using the power of your imagination. It's just like it's a muscle. The more you use it, the more fun it gets, the more creative you can be, the more you see and experience things. And then practicing gratitude ahead of time for those things. So like when I say affirmations in the morning, or like when I write things down, I'm writing it as like, I am so thankful for that awesome new lead role, or I'm so thankful, for these things. And it created this kind of, it was like the stress and the worry of if I was going to do it kind of went away.
Yeah.
As much. And so it was, and it's a practice, because sometimes I can feel those anxious thoughts of being like, oh, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe it's not going to happen. But if you can yourself.
Let me just see if I understand. You were basically being thankful for it before you even got it.
Oh yeah. Because in my mind, it's done.
So I actually started learning this technique when I was about your age. And I think it's amazing. It's so powerful. And so what I've manifested in my life as a result has been crazy too. One thing I've noticed, like for kids who are younger, like our daughter 13, we've been trying to like teach her some of this. And of course, every now and then you have a 13-year-old and they like roll their eyes at you, right? They're like, oh my gosh, you're so weird. You're so weird.
Did you do that?
Well, I think at that point so the first book I read, I think it was about 16, it was shortly after I quit gymnastics and I was on this whole other life journey, was As a Man Thinketh.
Yeah. I read that book too.
It was my first one. And I just
read that when I had cancer. It was huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was just it was a pivotal moment in my life when I was like, oh my gosh, like your thoughts matter. Like I remember just thinking like nobody told me that it matters what I think about. And that's why I think I'm so passionate about.
That's an interesting book for a 16-year-old to read.
I know. Well, the fact that you can control, you have the power to. Granted, depending on, there's a definite difference of chemical balances, and I think I learned that big time with you guys, especially with my sister. I never used to believe that. I was like, you can choose what to think about, but I think if you have, and I would love to get your feedback on it. Yeah, you can. Like if you're not, I've also felt what it feels like to not feel balanced and to be like, whoa.
So hardware, software. We call it hardware, software.
Yes. So I would love to talk to you guys about that too, and share that. I know you guys talk about that a lot.
So I want to just touch really quickly what I was saying about Chloe with the 13-year-old, because she would roll her eyes. So what I did was learn how to put that into a fun form for someone her age. And huge. What that looked like for us was a vision board.
Huge.
So because now, as opposed to, we're going to sit there, she's just not going to wrap her brain around that, right? So instead we made it this fun thing of, well, let's just go crazy with our imagination, pull up the most wild, fun things, print pictures off the internet. What do you like?
See, that's a great mom right there. Yeah.
And just get a board and just start putting it on there. And then one more step is, when do you want it to happen by? Yeah. So, and then the final step was, now tell yourself it's already that way.
Yep.
And just start, and she's obsessive about it.
I love it. Well, and I think props to you for being an amazing mom like that, to find, everybody's so different, everybody's body, everybody's brain, everybody's everything, metabolism. There's not one thing that might work for every single person. Right. So I think especially at a younger age, just because somebody says, oh, like I can't get myself to meditate, or that's stupid. Well,
there's so many ways to do it.
There's so many ways to do it. And I think
for some people it's called prayer. For some people, it's called meditation,
or dance, or yoga,
or martial arts. It's karate. Arts,
exactly, finding, and I think it's like just like how people talk about like the gateway drug. It's like, what's your it took a lot for me to finally get to a place where I was able to made meditation a must for myself. But my first step was going from like just pounding myself and like feeling like I had to kill myself at the gym to get a good result, to having a really pivotal life change when I really started learning the power of hormone balance, and that's a big thing that I'm all about, is like the stress. I feel like the next wave of health and nutrition is about stress management and hormone and chemical balance to help.
So how do you manage your stress? So we talked about meditation.
Yeah, meditation.
We know exercise. You dance like crazy.
I think doing things, but just movement. Knowing that knowing your state. Like if I know I'm in I've gotten to the point where now you can start to feel like all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm not in a good state right now. So I think movement, just even if you can, I have to put on a song. I have like a special playlist.
Yeah,
having
me too.
Your toolbox. Like I have ahead of time of like, what are the songs that you love that you know are going to help? As soon as you hear something, like a song that you love,
change your state.
Instantly going to change your state. And as soon as if you can start moving to that, and other people, even if you're not a dancer, have a dance party in your room. Like make it fun for yourself. And
I love that. In the few minutes we have
Yep.
left, talk about what you're doing now. How are you spreading
Yes.
the mission?
The mission. So that is the Disruptive Movement for me. And I'm actually about to launch Disruptive Academy, which is like an online membership community where
fun.
I do, and especially for young girls, I have something called Disruptive Girls Club that I'm about to launch as well, just to be a place that is everything community. Like fun, accountability, and community is everything for me. That we talked about vision boards. Like we create what I call gamify your life boards. So it's taking vision boards to kind of another step of saying like, what are the things that you have to hit, almost like levels in your game, and if you can have that, you get a certain amount of points, and you set that. So say one of my goals is to like meditate every day. But that's a should until I make it a must. So to make it a must, I'm going to gamify it, and I'm going to be like kind of disruptive in my thinking and have it so I can get like 10 points every time I do it. And then when I get to 100, I go on a shopping day, or I go get a massage, or do something fun as a reward system. Because that's the biggest thing. I feel like if we don't ever reward ourselves, we don't ever celebrate our wins. We don't want to keep doing that thing. And the more we can have that as a have a reward system ahead of time. It's like,
how can people learn about what you're doing?
You can go to my website. It's disruptiveapparel.com because a lot of it is backed by an apparel brand. And then we have disruptiveacademy.com as well. And we're actually doing a 5-day Disruptive Dare challenge. So I do this thing called Disruptive Dares because I really, like I said, if you don't ever try new things, how are you ever going to find your passion, find your mission? And so much of the time we get stuck in these little boxes and we do the same things with the same people, same restaurants all the time.
Which is bad for your brain.
So
because
yes.
New learning is absolutely essential to keeping your brain young.
Literally felt like I had a really pivotal moment, and actually what made me get so passionate about and actually starting Disruptive was because I went through a really hard breakup that kind of made me unconsciously stop doing new things. And it was the first time I felt like this is not me. I feel like I'm literally in a depression. And I couldn't get myself out of it. And it wasn't until I started learning that I was like, oh my gosh, I used to do, how come I couldn't even get myself to go to a new workout class. Like that was hard for me. And that was always my favorite thing before. But it felt like those anxious thoughts, or I just wanted to stay in my normal patterns. And it was such a beautiful experience, even though I hated it at the time, of learning what it felt like to live in this kind of confident, outgoing mindset. And then also this very stuck.
Wasn't it
place.
Eleanor Roosevelt that said, do one thing every day that scares you?
Yeah. And I feel like the one thing that nobody talks about is that once after you don't have to necessarily listening to your parents all the time. You have to almost be a parent to yourself of getting yourself to do things that you don't necessarily want to do. Like that, the insecurity is never going to go away. Like the most amazing, do you guys, before you do stuff, do you still ever have?
Of course.
We're always going to feel
We talk about parenting your inner child all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that's one of the biggest things I would love to help people realize is that is always going to be there. You don't have to, there's no perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time, and those justifications, those reasons why, maybe you feel like you shouldn't go do that thing, or it's going to be too hard.
Sometimes doors close and then other ones open, just like you said. So we're so grateful for you being with us. Rachele Brooke Smith,
Thank you.
disruptiveapparel.com,
disruptiveapparel.com.
.com. You can learn more about her work. You can see her in movies coming up. The 2 movies you have coming up are...
the one that comes out in theaters in August is Cold Moon, and also Bomb City as well is it's doing amazing in different festivals right now, so it'll be out as well. Yeah, and at RachelBSmith.com, all the movie stuff.
Love what you're doing.
Oh, I love
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being part of us. Stay with us.
Thank you for listening to the Brain Warriors Way podcast. We have a special gift for you. It's an opportunity to win an evaluation at the Amen Clinics. All you have to do is subscribe to this podcast, leave a review, and rate us on iTunes.
To learn more about Amen Clinics and the work we do, go to amenclinics.com. You can also learn about our nutraceutical products at brainmdhealth.com. Thanks for listening.